Good morning to you. It's 8:45 at iFiber One. First and third Fridays of the month, we get Riveting Radio Real Estate from Don Pannell. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm feeling riveting.
Good. I like to hear it. Friday. And how have things been going in the world of real estate?
Well, really good. The last time I was here, we talked about some statistics, and I found some other interesting things today. The ones I gave last time were pretty much for just the Shelton area. This is for all of Mason County. So little different, but still the same basic trends. So new listings in the month of October in Mason County, there were 100 of them, which, I mean, that's the whole county. So that's still not a whole lot for that as big an area as that is. There are currently 344 active listings in Mason County. And remember, that's everything. Mm-hmm. So still not a whole lot.
Land too?
No, just houses. Just houses. Yeah. There are 145 pending sales, or there were during the month of October. There were 137 closings. So that's actually pretty good, because we kind of tell people that it's generally taking 45 days from the time you sign the contract till the time you close. So that pretty much bears that out. So the average price, which is interesting, was $223,673. So that's actually pretty good when you figure that there are a fair number that are in the lower hundreds or less than 100,000. So and then there are also some waterfront listings that are way up there. So by the time you average those all in, you still come up with 224 basically thousand. So that's pretty good.
That seems like a pretty high number.
It does, but then you got to figure, like along the canal, you've got some, up in the high 100,000s. So
I guess I'm just thinking of the creep from Seattle down and around the Bend, or from Bremerton down.
Right, and we're being affected by that, I think, a little bit, not as much as obviously Seattle is, but so in the median price, which is the average is when they just add everything together. The median price is when they take the high and the low and split the difference. That's still 216,000. So that's still respectable. And as of now, I think when I gave the Shelton statistics, there was less than a month's worth of inventory. Yeah. This says that there is 2.5 months in the whole county. Okay. So, but compared to this same time last year there was 3.9 months. And now there's 2.5. So we're seeing that drop in availability. Yeah. So that we talked about last time.
Wow.
So so pretty interesting statistics. I always like to look at those because it's kind of fun.
Patrice and I this week were talking about all the weather and how wicked it's been.
Yeah.
And, the roads like Skoke Valley Road, Galt Road, things like that, that traditionally close because of the rain and things like that. Mm-hmm. That's the best time, and we were talking about this. Spring and summer, everybody goes out, looks for houses. Right. But this time of the year, especially with the amount of rain, because if you go up Skoke Valley in the summer, it's beautiful and people love it, and you're having a great time. Right. You may or may not get out of the car and go talk to your potential neighbors and say, well, what is this like?
Yeah, what is it really like? Yeah. You
got to do these things. Is there documentation anywhere other than maybe news reports from us that the flooding again and things like that?
Well, there's a flood zone map, and that's becoming something that I always check anymore from any parcel to see whether it's in a flood zone or not. And that'll give you an idea whether, flood insurance is going to be required, that kind of thing.
Is there anything that you could see? Is there anything that you could see that would tip you off to do a little bit more due diligence? Obviously, if the house is like 10 feet from the river.
Right. Then,
maybe.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you've noticed that people need to look for?
And that's another good reason to get a really good inspector, because they know what to look for. Yeah. They can see, sometimes you can even see watermarks on, like in the basements and those kinds of things. They have a moisture meter that they can run around that shows, if there's moisture in the wall and sometimes it can even be just from driving rain. It doesn't necessarily have to be water from like a creek or a river or something like that. It could just be driving rain coming in and moisture getting into those like door jams and that kind of stuff. So really good to have somebody who has that expertise.
Seeing those types of watermarks potential red flag, and a red flag of a different type is something you want to talk about today.
Right. We've been talking about escrowing title.
Yeah.
And so I thought I got this really good printout. Really hard to read, little tiny type, unfortunately. So forgive me if you're watching this on YouTube if I'm squinting here. Yeah, but it's really good information. One of the things that you will get when you are in the process of either buying or selling is a title report. And a lot of times it can be this humongous document that you might take a look at and think, I don't want to look at that. But it's really important that you do. I mean, I've seen them up in the hundreds of pages. So it can be a little bit daunting, but it's really good to just kind of go through it. And I'm going to kind of hit some of the highlights here and give you what they show and then potential red flags to look for.
Okay.
And this, again, too, is why title companies and escrow companies earn their money, because it's their responsibility to go through all of this and make sure that you're getting clear title to your house and that there aren't any encumbrances on there that might come back to bite you. Mm-hmm. So the first one to look at, obviously, this is a pretty basic one, is taxes. It'll show what the past taxes are for that house. And what you want to look for as a potential red flag are postponed property taxes. And because those will need to be cleared off before title can be cleared. A lot of times what happens is folks get senior exemptions and those kinds of things, or they file a petition to delay paying their property taxes. But at some point, those have to be paid.
Okay.
So take a look, and if you see anything on there that shows postponed property taxes, that's something to definitely ask the title officer about and find out, is this something I have to pay? Is this something the seller pays? What's up with that?
Okay.
So take a look at those if you see those words, postpone property taxes. The demand will need to be met in order for the title to be cleared. So you need to make sure that happens. And it may take up to 2 weeks to get that cleared. So you want to take a look at it sooner rather than later so that you don't run into delaying closing because they have to wait for documents from the county. Mm-hmm. So take a look at that. The second one, and this is, one of these days I'm going to do a show on acronyms. We use a lot of them in real estate. And this one is CC&Rs. It's a pretty basic one. That stands for covenants, commitments, and restrictions.
Right.
And those are the rules usually in a housing development or in a community where they've set up what you can and can't do with your property. So you need to take a look at those. Those will be part of the title report. And sometimes that's why they're so lengthy, is that they will have, like up at Lake Cushman, for example, they will send CC&Rs for every single division. And so it can be up in the hundreds of pages.
Wow.
Even though your house is only in one division, they send you the CC&Rs for all of them. I don't know why they do that, but they do. Sure. So you need to take a look at those. Most of them are pretty basic, but you need to read through them and find out, for example, if you know you want to build a fence on your property once you buy it, sometimes you can't, or sometimes there's a limit on how high it can be, or how much of the property can be fenced, those kinds of things. So be sure and look through those, and because some of those CC&Rs are going to prohibit what you might want to do.
For sure.
So, yeah. Some of them even get as specific as what colors you can paint your house, those kinds of things.
The kind of stuff that we're dealing with in our neighborhood.
Right. There's always those. Yeah. Or they can be as basic as you can't shoot off fireworks after midnight or something like that, those kinds of things. A lot of them, too, have to do with animals, pets, whether you can have chickens or not, those kinds of things. So be sure and read through those. They will be part of your title report. So, and the next one is easements, and those can be a little tricky. I'm dealing with one right now where there is an easement in place, but it was never recorded. So there was just a kind of a gentleman's agreement between the two neighbors, but they never did the paperwork that memorialized it that becomes part of the title. So now one of those properties is being sold, and so they have to go back and write out those understandings or those agreements and have everybody sign them, and then it becomes part of the title. So you need to make sure that those are in place. Some lenders, FHA and VA in particular, will not finalize a loan unless those are in place. So if there's like a shared road or a shared driveway, there needs to be something in writing that everybody signs that goes with the title that shows that, yes, everybody shares maintenance of this common driveway or whatever the case may be.
Is that with the current party and the new potential owner, or is it the current party and the current owner? I mean, is it neighbor and neighbor who have been together forever and had that agreement should do this, or is it neighbor and the new person that may be moving in to do this?
That's a really good question, because it can be very, very confusing. Usually, if it's done the way it's supposed to be done, it's signed by whoever owns the property at that time, and it goes with the title, and it's just memorialized. And so the new owners really don't have any say in it. They just have to agree that they're going to abide by this agreement that's part of the recorded title of the property. So in that case, it could be something that was signed 50 years ago.
Yeah.
If it was recorded with the title, which is the way it should be done, then it still applies to both of those parcels. Whoever owns it, it goes with the land. So, yeah.
So if that's not documented, and stop me if you're not sure or whatever, if that's not documented, and the person that will be moving out of the place, if the other neighbor that uses the easement goes, hey, you're leaving.
Yeah.
Why don't you just sign this? You know, we've been dealing with this forever.
Right.
Just sign it for me.
Yeah.
And because you're not even going to be worrying about it.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
You know, I think I haven't personally seen it happen, but I'm sure it does. Yeah, I'm sure it does. And so that's why, again, it's really important, if you know that you're going to have one of those situations, that you get an attorney to write it up for you, get it signed, and have it be a part of the parcels right from the get-go. Yeah. So there's things like roads. There's also things like shared wells, sometimes even shared drain fields for septic. So you have to make sure that all of those are legal, first of all, and then written up so that it goes with the property and not just at the discretion of whoever happens to be living there.
We're about out of time. I've been asking you a bunch of questions off topic, so we're going to have to continue this one next time around with
There's a lot more. So
we'll get to these. These are important and bringing up a lot of good ideas and issues. How do people get in touch with you?
They can call me at 360-490-4493, or they can stop and see me at the corner of 3rd and Railroad in the John L. Scott office. And again, I say if I'm not there, they'll know where I am and they can get a hold of me.
Well, Dawn, it's always good to see you.
Great to see you, Jeff.
Have a good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.